Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Sacred Miracles. My name is Neha, and I'm a life and law of attraction coach. So, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. So, in my last episode, I spoke about decluttering, and I actually got messages from so many of you that you're looking forward to learn more about decluttering and how it has an impact on your mental and spiritual spaces as well. All right, I'm really excited for today's episode. So I'm going to speak about decluttering a little in detail today. Now, when we say decluttering, most of the times it sounds as if, oh my God, a lot of work to do. You start imagining your gloves and trash bags and a lot of boxes around you. But you don't have to do that right now. Because it's very important for us to understand that how decluttering has an impact on our daily lives. For me, when I look at decluttering, it's not just about getting rid of the trash, but it's also about shifting my energy. For me personally, it's more like a therapy. Having said that, is it just about physical space? Of course not. It's about mental as well as emotional space. So let me explain it to you through a story that how these three spaces are connected to each other. All right. So once there was a monk and he was in the jungle and suddenly it started raining. So of course he had to rush back to his cottage. And so the moment he opened the door of his cottage, he was shocked to find that his cottage was in a shambles because of the wind blowing through the open windows. The books, the writings, everything that he was working on was scattered all over the floor and his bed. And worst of all, his important documents were still swirling in the moist, stormy air, making it impossible for him to chase them down and pick them up to place them back in order. Now, this monk stood there for a few seconds, and then he just left the papers to fly and first went to shutter each of the open windows and the main door of the cottage. Only when the wind was no longer pushing all of his precious belongings up against the walls and his furniture was he able to begin carefully picking up his small cottage. Now, this story is just a metaphor. The cottage represents the mind, and when the monk closed the windows and the door, he was actually telling us to close our eyes and sit still in meditation in order to quiet the mind, to shut the mind for a few minutes and bring order to our thoughts. In this story, the physical clutter of living space, the mental clutter of a harried mind, and the spiritual clutter of a life whose purpose has been thrown off track come together. Now, this is how I illustrate the true nature of clutter, which has a direct impact on the flow of energy. Now, what does that mean? Basically, the physical clutter around us has a direct impact on our mental space because that's how we work on our thought process, and eventually it would have an impact on us emotionally, right? So you know what I mean. I'm sure by now you have already noticed that I believe clutter into be more deeper and more significant in one's life than just a pile of clean laundry, which is still unfolded. You know what I mean, right? With this, we also need to understand that clearing clutter is a constant activity. It has to be a lifestyle rather than a one-time intervention just to fix a situation. Now, if you try to dig deep into it, do you feel that most of the clutters around us, be it physical, be it mental or emotional, it's because of the attachment? Isn't it? I'm sure many of you are able to relate to this. But is the attachment bad? Of course not. It is healthy only if you know when to stop and where to stop. Now, with this, let's just try to understand the simple concept of attachment in relation to clutter. Okay, so we all love people, we all love things, we all are attached to things, and there is nothing wrong because that's what makes us humans, right? However, I also believe that you can still enjoy relationships, you can enjoy your association with people and things without, establishing unnecessary attachments. Unhealthy attachments in a relationship or with anything entails a sense of ownership, which in itself sounds like a burden to me. Without being overly attached, both like people in a relationship or you as an individual with the attachment with the thing can really go ahead and feel that love, that care, without owning that thing as a possession, right? Attachments to object is ideally not supposed to be a vital part of human psychology, and it can become both mentally and spiritually problematic. This doesn't mean that you have to give up everything and live in, very austere life, I would say. Instead of focusing on how strongly you are attached to objects, think about how much those objects may trap you or prevent energy in your life from flowing freely. If the objects in your life are useful and used frequently in your hobbies, for example, things are working well, if the objects in your life really help you to run your daily errands, it makes sense. However, if the objects in your life are interfering with your plans to move because they are just acting as a blockage, it's time that you need to deal with that particular object and that attachment. I always believe that the way we feel, the way our life is unfolding each day, is a direct reflection of how we are creating our physical space, how we are working on a thought process, and that is our mental space. Okay? Because I also see that clutter, there are varying degrees of clutter in life requiring different approaches. So when I say varying degrees of clutter, what does that mean? I'll give you a few examples in different areas of life, which is mind, body, and spirit, so that you can get a sense of about what each clutter looks like. Keep in mind that you might need a help of a trusted loved one to help you assess your degrees of clutter, and there is nothing wrong in it. I'll give you an example, like a fish swimming in water. It may be difficult to notice something that surrounds you. Conversely, your own sense of responsibilities might cause you to unfairly compare yourself to others in a way that grossly overestimates your own clutter. I'm sure you have been to somebody's house where the host says, "Oh, I'm so sorry for the mess." And you wondered what in the world she was talking about, as her home was spotless compared to others. Just remember, no matter how bad your clutter problem may be, there's always somebody worse off. Also, clearing clutter is an ongoing process. Those who have admirably cleared their lives of clutter are always working to do so, just like you. So, when we talk about physical clutter, it includes your household clutter, your messed up office or desk, a car filled with a lot of empty packets, or, or maybe an unweeded garden. Everything comes under the category of physical clutter. And also, it could include your body clutter, right? So basically, when I talk about physical clutter, it's not just your house. It could be your car, your office, your own body, your garden, your backyard. Everything comes under that category. Now, this clutter can be at various degrees. Now, what does that mean? It could be a low level maintenance, it could be moderately overwhelming, or it could be pretty intense disempowerment. So you have to figure out that, at what level this degree of clutter stands and what impacts it has in your life. Now, with this, in this particular episodes, I'm going to talk about physical decluttering and creating your Zen space with my favorite 3-step process, and that is a simple 3-step process, which is simplify, harmonize, and reflect. Well, I know it sounds pretty simple, but trust me, there is a lot of balancing act which has to do. Now, I'm also sure many of you must be thinking, Why am I talking so much about decluttering? Decluttering simply means get ready with your gloves and get rid of the stuff, put them in the trash bags, and throw it out. But trust me, it's not that easy. Had it been that easy, so what are those clothes doing in your closet, still hanging in there, waiting for that one day when you would wear them? Why is that paper still lying in your drawer? That's actually from your high school, but just because a friend of yours with whom you're not even connected, you don't even know where on the planet he or she is it's just lying over there in the drawer because you have some attachment. Doesn't that happen? So let's start creating our Zen space with our 3-step process. Now, to begin with our Zen space, I'm going to talk about my favorite space, which is our closet. Now, most of us had the experience of looking at a closet full of clothes but nothing wearable that matches our mood. Honestly speaking, most of us, wear, with few exceptions for sure, the same thing or its incarnation over and over again. So many of those dresses are hanging in there season to season and waiting for some unforeseen occasion in the future that never comes. So, what are you supposed to do with those clothes? I think, how about taking a stock of your wardrobe and reconsidering your relationship with those clothes? Take a deep breath and feel the wind of refreshing change around you. Think of replacing them with some new style. How about getting back to your discovery journal? Remember, we spoke about that journal that you created in our first episode? Think about how good you would feel when every day your closet is a room full of fashion, style, new energy, and a hot mess. Doesn't it feel great? So, it's time to relook into our wardrobes and see what it makes you feel. How would it be when you wear only those clothes that reflects the authentic you? I assume it's going to be awesome. So, what next? The similar empty needs to be carried to the other stuff in your house. I believe every corner of your house, whether it's small or big, whether you are living in your dream home or a makeshift, it should still reflect your authentic self. With this, let's just go ahead and try to relate with my 3-step process. I have already started calling it ours because I'm sure you're just gonna able to relate to it. When you talk about simplify, harmonize, and reflect in physical space, we got to understand that home is often where the worst clutter piles, It's our nesting space, the crossroads where we find rest and relief, and through which all of our belongings pass. We prepare food there, we sleep there, we create memories, we invite others, we laugh, we cry, we do so much stuff, right? Thus, with these tips, I'm sure that you would be able to relate it with in just applying these methods, not just with your physical space, but the other two as well, which I would be covering in my next episodes for sure. So coming back to simplifying your physical space. Okay, so let's talk about it like this. Healthy and balanced people go through regular cycles of, pruning down as many things as they acquire in order to keep circulating possessions like energy throughout their lives. If you are new to this process of decluttering, you may have to do a big purge or many small ones right away. I would say that, upon the evaluation of your current state, your current situation, you may decide that do you need extra resources, maybe some helping hands, including your family members, or at least announcing that you are going to start this process in the house. Okay, you might need some extra bags. You need to go ahead and collect those things which you need in order to do the decluttering, because this is just a process of simplifying. This is just looking at with eyes of creating more space for new energy, for bringing in that shift in your mindset and in your space. So, one tip I would like to share in this episode is avoid churning, guys. Trust me, it's the worst thing that you could do to this process of decluttering, where your possessions simply move from one place to another in the hope of using it someday or giving it away, or maybe, this box of maybe that we create, maybe we would need it after a few months. I have learned one thing in my life is that anything which you have not used in last 60 days, I'm sure you can manage without it. And trust me, think about it. Look around yourself and see what all you have been holding on to just because you thought you would use it one day. And that day never comes. So this is about simplifying, right? Now, when it's very I know it's challenging because every time I'm decluttering, many a times I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Oh my God, this person gave this to me. Oh, this is so beautiful. This is too beautiful to put it in trash. And these kind of emotions, basically the attachments, do not allow you to declutter completely, right? Talking about the daily habits. The daily habits of organizing things, like I am against bringing your work in your living area, putting your laptop, your MacBooks on your dining area, or leaving your throw on the couch when you get up. I believe spending 10 seconds extra in that corner of your house would help you to, keep your things organized. And these things really help. So I have heard that in Jewish tradition, the family dining room table is like more like a sacred place. I believe that this tradition should be practiced in every home. And with this, I just would like to suggest that don't let your dining room table to be a place of clutter. Keep it clear. Engage in the ritual of place setting. While at the table, don't tolerate any bad manners from your family members or even yourself. Put away all the distractions to engage in the moment with your food and pleasant company. And trust me, you will see it brings in a lot of change between your family members, the vibes that you share and the vibe that you create in the house. Now, after completing a simplification cycle, you will go through an adjustment period. And that is where harmonizing comes into picture. It may be particularly intense if you just did your first major clutter clearing session in your living space. Now you're harmonizing, getting used to the new normal, which is not seeing those things with which you were attached from past 1 year or 2 years or maybe 6 months, and you feeling okay with that. During this phase, start by thinking about what you may have been neglecting in your emotional and intellectual lives as well as your spiritual lives. Now you will pay attention to basically nurture these areas. And that's where adding new things in those areas would come into picture. How about flipping some magazines of home edits and changing the look and feel? Maybe doing a different decor in your living space. Or maybe going ahead and buying something which you always wanted to, but you thought, oh, probably it won't go with my house as of now. So this is about just revamping your space, and that is how you harmonize. So once you go ahead and you have gone through the simplification process, you have you have started harmonizing and feeling normal about your new space. It's all about reflecting. It's all about reflecting in your physical space. So, how did the process of simplification and harmonizing sound to you? Do mention in the comments. What did you notice now about the process? Do let me know. What was surprisingly easy and what was too hard? Have you noticed other people saying things about your process now? Did someone come to you and said, oh wow, this looks different. Oh wow, this looks new. This looks refreshing. Take some time to note your energy level after doing all this work. If you overdid this, you might want to shoot for less effort next time around. If you still feel energized, perhaps you can step things up a notch. Is your cleaning routine working out for you now that you have cleared some of the clutter? There are a number of barriers you might have to smash though before you do another even more successful round of simplifying your life. So, you also have to understand that are you a visual person? Go easy on yourself. Some people just can't deal with having all their belongings, tucked away neatly in drawers. So, take baby steps. Do not overdo it. Do not make it overwhelming. And like I said in the beginning, enjoy the process. Enjoy every moment. Every time you remove one item from that shelf, look at that shelf for 10 seconds and see the new energy which is coming in there. All right, guys. So that was a quick talk about decluttering your physical space. I would love to hear your views about it in the comment section. Please like and subscribe to my channel and stay tuned to talk further about your mental and emotional space. Have a good day.